Live 5 News starts now with breaking news.
Our breaking news comes out of downtown Charleston. Officials there on the scene as we speak of an oil spill down there.
Happened on Cypress and King Street. Right now, that's where we will find our Colby Satterfield. We're going to send things to her for the very latest downtown. We're continuing to follow that breaking news we first told you about at the top of our newscast. Officers on the scene of an oil spill downtown. Our
Colby Satterfield is there off of Cypress near King. Any new details right now, Colby?
Yeah, Raphael, I just talked with the Charleston Police Department. Here's what we know now. It was an 8,500-gallon fuel truck that has this road closed.
Just into our newsroom, Charleston County deputies are on the scene of a fatal car wreck in Wadmalaw. Here's a live look at the scene on Maybank Highway near Bugbee Plantation Road, where traffic is backed up for miles.
We're still following that breaking news out of North Charleston, where officers say a man is on the run. Right now, we've just learned some disturbing new details in this case. This all happened just a few hours ago at an apartment complex on Green Ridge Road that is just off of Rivers Avenue. We're going to take things right now to our Alexis Simmons, who is live there on the scene with the very latest. Alexis, what did you just learn?
Lisa, yeah, we are expected to be getting an update from that public information officer, and I believe that news you just said about the 2 children being stabbed, according to police, I don't think people on the scene are aware of that just yet.
A busy night here in the Low Country for local law enforcement. An investigation underway on Johns Island after a person was reportedly hit by a car. Plus, the parking lot of the local gas station nearly flooded after a man reportedly ran his car into a fire hydrant. Video of his arrest and what charges he could be facing coming up in the next 5 minutes. But first, one person is in custody after a stabbing at the Mall of America.
Live 5 News starts now with a first alert severe weather alert.
And we begin tonight with a tropical storm watch affecting some of our viewing area right now. This is for Georgetown, but the entire South Carolina coast could feel some sort of impact. Now, this kind of watch means strong winds and heavy rain are possible. The storm system to our south is moving northeast, and the conditions are constantly changing. For that reason, from now through tomorrow, we are calling this a first alert weather day. That means we will be monitoring the situation closely around the clock, and we will alert you to any changes that could affect you or your family's safety. Our storm tracking is already underway right now. Brad Stryker has a live report on the wind and rip currents at Folly Beach. But first, let's go to Chief Meteorologist Bill Walsh for the very latest on this system. Bill, you just got an update on the storm.
We are continuing to keep a close eye on a few storms moving through the Low Country tonight. A tornado watch still in place for the next hour and a half till 9 o'clock tonight. Our meteorologist Stephanie Stein joining us now in the Weather Center. I know I was caught out in the rain today. Were you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Raphael James in for Sydney Ryan. Parts of Florida already feeling the impact of Tropical Storm Philippe. This video you see was captured in Palm Beach after a tornado touched down there. Stephanie Stein joining us in the Weather Center. Stephanie, we are already kind of looking to see where this storm is going to go.
We're less than an hour away from Christmas Eve, which means Santa will be making his delivery soon. The question lingering on many people's minds: will Santa have a rough trip making it here to the Low Country? Meteorologist Stephanie Stein joining us now from the First Alert Weather Center. Stephanie, Santa could run into some rainy weather. It's the biggest and most anticipated rivalry in the Palmetto State, and tonight Clemson took home the winning title. The Tigers wiped out the Gamecocks in this year's Palmetto Bowl. Chris Obarski joins us now. Chris, this is Clemson's 4th straight win against Carolina.
That's right, Sydney, and I think it was a little bit surprising to some people.
We want to show you, this is the awesome view of that total solar eclipse. A little more than an hour ago, the moon crossed paths with the sun, casting that shadow for about a minute here in Charleston. Thousands of people all around the Low Country, they had the chance to witness that rare phenomenon today.
Yeah, Live 5 News has been tracking the solar eclipse from the very beginning all the way to the end. We've got live team coverage all across the country. First, we're going to go out to the Joe Riley Stadium, where fans were, of course, enjoying a day there with the eclipse and a baseball game. Now, Bill and Debbie are out there with more.
Now, from the Low Country's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
The man accused of kidnapping that little girl from Johns Island was spotted in another neighborhood just 2 days before. Tonight, we're hearing from a woman who says he showed up at her doorstep.
Thousands of people across the country honoring the life and legacy of the late Reverend Billy Graham. Tonight at 6, we are taking a look at one of his many visits here to the Lowcountry.
Yeah, close to the record, very close. I'll tell you how close, but look at these numbers right now. In the 70s, how long will the warm stuff last? We'll talk about that, plus a look at the upcoming weekend right now, new at 6.
We are bringing you full coverage tonight across the Lowcountry. Right now, our Karina Bolster is downtown Charleston following the case against a teen accused of murdering a Goose Creek mother of 3. Plus, Harv Jacobs tells us the man accused of kidnapping 4-year-old Heidi Todd had a run-in with deputies days before the alleged incident.
And our Michael Higdon is bringing us live coverage from Charlotte, where hundreds of people are honoring the late Reverend Billy Graham. But first, let's go send things over right now to Ashley Holland, who is also in Charlotte right now. And she is here to tell us it has been a busy day, Ashley, where you are this afternoon.
It sure has, Bill. Standing in the spot right outside of the library here, I spoke with several people who shared mixed emotions. Some shared sadness. Others shared joy on the passing of Reverend Billy Graham, and people came from across the country, even across the world. People told me that they had planned this trip much in advance, so it's a coincidence that they are here today, the day that he died, but many now call that a blessing. Billy Graham touched the lives of many. Many of them shared their testimonies of just how inspired they were to walk in their Christian faith because of his evangelism and the messages that he shared over the years. Many people shared their experiences of seeing him speak in person at one of his crusades over the years. Take a listen at what this man had to say.
He was a legacy. He was a real evangelist. Simple message, deep concern, love the Lord and love his people. So he will be missed.
Meanwhile, just outside of the gates of the library here, there is a memorial building. People have been dropping those flowers in remembrance of the late Reverend Billy Graham. Live in Charlotte, Ashley Holland, Live 5 News.
Ashley, thank you. And even through his death, Reverend Graham's legacy is living on. Our Michael Higdon joins us live from the entrance to the Billy Graham Library with more on the people who've paid a visit there today. Michael?
Last check, more than 300 people took time out of their day to come here to the Billy Graham Library to honor his life. Right outside of the entrance, if you take a look behind me, these are the flowers and the bouquets that people have left behind. And many I spoke with today say they came here because they wanted to be on holy ground. Hundreds came to the Billy Graham Library, many of whom had been touched by Reverend Graham in some form or fashion.
First time I saw him, I was a little girl in Brazil. I was watching TV and I saw this man, speaking to millions of people.
And that speech is why Eliane Elvis gave her life to Christ, and she brought her daughter to the library today.
I wanted to come here in gratitude to his life and pay my tribute to him, and that we could pray and just be grateful for his life and his service.
And from being touched by speeches to knowing him personally.
He really encouraged me about the Lord. That's one reason why I'm saved today.
Fred Lee Jr. became friends with Reverend Graham years ago, but says the words of Billy Graham had an impact on his life even at an early age.
It kept me out of trouble, coming up, at a young age in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a lot of other things that you could do.
Fred Lee Jr. was led to Christ by Billy Graham, a reason the library grounds hold a special place in his heart.
And often I come and just pray, and just talk to the Lord, because this is holy ground we're standing on.
And one of the many things everyone loved and respected about Reverend Graham.
He spoke the truth in love and how he used his life to serve others.
And even though he has passed away, Reverend Graham will continue to serve others through his legacy. Reverend Graham once said, "When we leave our earthly journey, we will have just begun." Reporting live outside of the Billy Graham Library in Charlotte, I'm Michael Higdon, Live 5 News.
Michael, thank you. During Billy Graham's many trips around the world, he made a stop right here in the Low Country. He paid a visit to Charleston in November of 1989 after Hurricane Hugo has struck us hard. Live 5 News was there as he gave a sermon at Citadel Square Baptist Church at a Hurricane Hugo remembrance service. During his visit, he also spoke at the opening of a daycare center in the area of 10 Mile, which helped put people back to work in the wake of the storm. New information tonight about the man accused of kidnapping that 4-year-old girl from Johns Island and brutally beating her mother. It turns out Thomas Lawton Evans was driving with a suspended license when he ran out of gas in St. Stephen last week. Police reporter Harv Jacobs live right now on Mendel Rivers Road where Evans was stopped. Harv, Evans was not arrested for driving under suspension. Why not?
Well, Bill, the sheriff's office spokesman told me they have to see the person actually driving. That's why he wasn't arrested. A woman who had an encounter with Evans out here told me she had no idea who he was until after his arrest for the kidnapping. 2 days before 4-year-old Heidi Todd was kidnapped from her home on Johns Island, the man accused of abducting her showed up in a neighborhood in another county. A man accused of a very serious crime was right at your door?
Exactly. Yes, he scared me too.
Carol Grunsky had no idea that the man who showed up at her house on Mendel Rivers Road would later be identified in a Berkeley County Sheriff's Office incident report as Thomas Lawton Evans, Todd's accused kidnapper. Grunsky says Evans surprised her at the back door.
And there was a man standing there, and he startled me, and I screamed, and he said, no, ma'am, I don't mean to scare you.
Grunsky says Evans told her he ran out of gas.
I told him, my husband tried to help you at 6:30 this morning, and you refused his help, and I can't help you.
She says Evans then went behind her brother's house.
I knew there was enough distance between me and him, and I went out on my porch and told him he had 5 minutes to get off the property or I was going to call the police.
Grunsky called the sheriff's office. Deputies found Evans walking down Harristown Road with a gas can. Deputies learned through dispatch that Evans' license had been suspended. After Evans' arrest for the kidnapping, an official with the sheriff's office called her to tell her the man at her house was Evans.
I was stunned. I couldn't process it for a couple of days because I was fixing to retire from the sheriff's office and I had a lot of stuff on my mind.
Grunsky says her instincts helped her realize something wasn't right.
It confirmed everything that I knew as a victim advocate, that we have to be aware and we have to be guarded and watch out for anybody. You just can't trust people today.
Evans, who was arrested in Mississippi, reportedly is on his way back to South Carolina with U.S. Marshals to face federal charges for the kidnapping. Live in St. Stephen, Harv Jacobs, Live 5 News.
In the last 30 minutes, the state and defense rested their cases in the murder trial of an 18-year-old man. Kenneth Robinson faces charges in connection with the deadly shooting of Kadena Brown on Mother's Day in 2015. Robinson was 15 years old at the time of the shooting. Karina Bolster live in downtown Charleston right now. Karina, Robinson decided not to testify at his own trial.
Debbie, Robinson's attorney says she had several conversations with her client over the last few weeks about this issue, but in the end, he decided not to testify. In fact, his family also spoke to him earlier this afternoon before that decision was made. Now, while we don't know exactly what was said during those private conversations, we do know that Robinson did verbally say in court he would not be testifying. The defense also did not call any witnesses in the trial. Now, today we heard a testimony from North Charleston police officers, crime scene investigators, and more about the number of shootings that happened in the Dorchester-Wayland neighborhood of North Charleston around the time of Brown's shooting. One witness testified about the gang violence in that neighborhood and how Brown's death was a tragic result of that violence. Now, closing arguments are expected to start tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning, with the defense going first. We are expecting the jury to start deliberating in this case before noon. Live in downtown Charleston, outside the Charleston County Courthouse, Karina Bolster, Live 5 News.
A bill to put metal detectors in our schools has cleared the State House, and it's on its way to the State Senate. The bill was pre-filed by Charleston State Representative Wendell Gilliard back in November. It would require walk-through metal detectors at every single public school entrance here in South Carolina. If the bill passes the Senate and is signed by the governor into law, Representative Gilliard's plan would have those metal detectors installed in schools by this coming fall. A trial date has been set for the state senator charged in a drunk driving case. Paul Campbell will face a jury next Thursday. He's accused of rear-ending a woman in his car on I-26 back in November. Senator Campbell blew a 0.9 on a breathalyzer test, but a judge ruled that that was inadmissible in court because he was not given the blood test he had requested. The other driver in the accident filed a lawsuit but has since dropped the case.
A lawsuit has been filed against the Charleston County School District over an alleged bullying incident at Lang Middle School. According to the lawsuit, school officials failed to properly address a string of incidents toward an autistic student during the 2016-2017 school year. The lawsuit points out an incident where the victim claims he was pushed into a wall by a group of students. The mother claims her son was counseled, but says the school did nothing about the alleged assault. The child has since been transferred from that school. Funeral arrangements have been set for the police dog killed in a crash last week. The crash happened Thursday night as police were responding to reports of a burglary. Services for Officer Mojo will be on Friday at New Springs Church starting at 2 p.m. Mojo served with the North Charleston Police Department for 5 years. The police officer injured in the crash has been released from the hospital. Tonight, local authorities are on the hunt for a woman accused of scamming the elderly. How much authorities say she got away with.